living a false reality. Perhaps T.S. Eliot was right. The world cannot bear too much reality. A reliable way to make people believe in falsehoods is frequent repetition, because familiarity is not easily distinguished from truth. Just consider the Iraq War. Politicians know this fact. The media does not help either. So we, as individuals, must focus and make a deliberate effort to insulate ourselves from the noise. And I know the truth is always at a disadvantage. It's been well said, a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to get its hands on, and the truth is rarely pure, never simple, or better wild. But in times of universal deceit, I think it may be wise to question some of the things that we have long taken for granted. In my own mind, I picture the world and the space in which we live as filled with forces that alternately stimulate and depress all human beings. So at times make us more or less optimistic, more or less fearful. And each of us can be completely susceptible to fear. And while it's a very intensely personal emotion, it can sweep through entire populations. And these forces don't control us, they just influence us in a way. And they create a climate that is sometimes more favorable to turbulent markets and war, and sometimes less favorable. The extremes of greed and fear show human emotion as the strongest factor in the way asset markets perform. The market is a composite personality, sometimes manic, sometimes despairing, sometimes overcoming lassitude. Emotions constantly inform our judgments, and those same emotions inform our investment decisions. For example, we as humans fear randomness. We dislike ambiguity and doubt. We need to have an answer for everything, no matter how ridiculous it sounds. Peter Bernstein in Against the Gods states that the evidence reveals repeated patterns of irrationality, inconsistency, and incompetence in the ways human beings arrive at decisions and choices when faced with uncertainty. Well, the investment environment that we're in today is changing at a rate that's representative of global economic imbalances, fund flows, and geopolitical risks. This decade will witness greatly increased financial volatility and instability in the economy and the financial system. We must understand the true nature of risk. We must focus on the facts and allow them to control our behavior. We must resist the illusion of control and overcome our behavioral biases. In good times, it's not hard to make money. But in times of unreality, the market is telling you something. It says, you don't understand me anymore. Don't trust me until you understand me. The first thing you have to know is yourself. And if you don't know who you are, the market is an expensive place to find out, especially the next 10 years. I believe that by stepping away from the short term, a certain number of pointers will allow us to navigate through this mess. It will allow us to find some consistency in this period that we're going through, to identify some of the longer term realities and what that means for ourselves and the way we invest. I mean, as long-term investors, we must take a stand and build an argument that rests on a foundation cast of core principles. I mean, the alternative is to shift our thinking with each day's headline. It's just a blueprint for certain disaster. It is ingrained in all of our nature to worry about things. And as things are likely to get worse, much worse, before they get better, it certainly makes sense for us to take caution and measures to mitigate those risks. For me, those steps are three. I think the first thing we should do is stay safe. And by staying safe, I don't mean load up on food and guns and go live in the middle of nowhere. For me, staying safe means that we need to take care of ourselves. Physically, emotionally, spiritually. We must have the mental fortitude to get through a difficult period of time. Allow ourselves to get through that, support our families and friends to get through that period as well. It also means that you may want to be closer to people that matter to you in this rising conflict world. We must stay liquid, so we must try as best we can to reduce our debts. Because we need to have the flexibility, reduce our fixed assets, we have the flexibility to be mobile, to go wherever we need to. And trust your bank, because there will be bank failures, so make sure you are comfortable with who you're banking with. We don't have an issue with that over here, but just generally speaking, stay liquid as much as you can, and save. Save ideally in gold and silver, but save nonetheless, because through this time of crisis will help you to restore your purchasing power, at the same time allow you to take advantage when valuations are attractive down the road. But once you take those steps, then do yourself a favor and pull away from the herd and focus on what gives you the greatest pleasure in life. And hopefully, through our discussion today, we may improve our understanding to navigate through all the complexities of an unstable, inflation-prone world. At this time, I'd like to thank you all very much, seriously, very, very much for coming, and I'd be happy to take any questions. Hello, Monica.
Hi. You talked about the future and the risks of inflation, especially when we've got high debt. The only scenario where central banks are looking at it is inflating it out. But then in your last message, from a human side was very powerful, but you also said, keep assets liquid. And if you've got high inflation, the value of your liquid assets will weaken. And I think this is the question that I think everyone is thinking. How do you keep the value of your assets?
Which is why I mentioned, like, to save, ideally, we're saving in gold and silver. And that's one way to look at it. And if not, then investing with people that can have an educated conversation with you about what's happening in the world and can show you a way to benefit from whatever is happening, or at least preserve your purchasing power, right? I mean, the trend right now that is extremely, that bothers me quite a bit, is that a lot of people are invested. They don't know in what or where. And they've got advisors that they talk to, that they themselves have no idea what the hell they're pitching to clients. So unless you can have an educated conversation with yourself, with somebody else who can help you understand and invest, that's one way to do it. I think gold and silver is one way as well. And currencies as well, right? So maybe not the US dollar, maybe not euro, but there are other currencies that will restore your purchasing power. There are other countries that are more sound, right? Like Norway, I like Norway, I like Canada. So maybe not be in the US dollar or euro, but be in those currencies. Or the New Zealand dollar for that matter. So just be more diversified. Ismail.
Thank you very much for the very interesting topic. My question is that who would you particularly accuse or blame or put the burden on for the economic mess which the whole world is facing? Number two, I understand from your